Hey everybody, welcome to We've Got the Beat, the podcast devoted to teen entertainment from the 80s and beyond. I'm your host, Michael, and Mindy's on the other side. Give me a fucking cookie, yeah!
Dang, you did that, and you did it at super speed.
I did, like a real radio announcer instead of the amateur hour bullshit that I usually fucking do.
You sounded like an auctioneer, almost.
Oh, that's good. Well, I noticed that if I record standing up, it's a lot easier for me to breathe and kind of like clear my thoughts because I'm not like squishing down on my diaphragm. Professional.
Dude, whatever you gotta do, dude.
In radio, they told you breathe from your stomach, and I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? I'm like, from my chest. So, I guess
if you were a singer, you would understand.
Yes, I know, but I don't think I have the ability to breathe from my stomach. It's very strange.
Okay.
So this episode we're going to be discussing two. Well, I thought they were set at schools when I originally we planned on doing two different movies, and it was Sky High and Zoom. And I watched Zoom, and I said, "This sucks shit." So we kind of scrambled and looked for something else, and we landed on New Mutants, which I think is horribly underrated and got basically maligned before it was ever even out. I hate it when that happens with movies, like word of mouth before anybody's even seen it.
Technically, they were told they're out of school, though, right?
And that's the part I missed. I thought it was an old mental... I thought it was a school at first, and I said, well, is this like an old hospital? You're probably right, though.
I think that it still counts, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Like I said, Zoom... the difference between Sky High and Zoom is this. The guy who wrote Zoom and put it together had no love for comic books. Almost like disdain for it. Like the way that Harold Ramis almost directed Galaxy Quest, where he was mocking Star Trek fans, where this almost feels like just a shit on you piece of, it's a boring piece of garbage where Tim Allen is just the absolute fucking worst. Whereas Sky High, everybody involved clearly loves what they're doing. They love the mythology of comic books and the lore that they can build in those worlds. And while there is some stuff that's kind of silly, it is a comedy, but it doesn't really mock the genre. It's silly behavior. A lot of it is it's really a John Hughes movie.
They really lean into the. Sometimes it feels a little cheesy, but they really lean into the style. So it's like, they're not mocking it; they're enjoying it.
Yeah, it doesn't have the highest budget. But here's the thing: is I've always said with special effects, I would rather have something that wasn't convincing to the eye, as long as it's creative. And that's what they do in Sky High. They know they have a limited budget. I think it was like $35 million. And what they did was just be imaginative. And I really enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, plus you'd rather them you'd rather them spend more effort on creating, a story and characters that are likable. If that works, then the special effects don't matter as much.
Right.
I think, in my opinion.
And a lot of it's the heart. And here's the one sticking point I do have with Sky High, and it's not like a terrible sticking point, but there is... The first third of the movie is about him trying to live up to his parents' expectations. Actually, the whole world has expectations based on who his parents are, and he has no powers. And trying to deal with that, and acceptance is almost a metaphor for like being gay or some sort of something that society isn't automatically like, cool, we're great with that. It's like, can't you just not be? They did that in X-Men 2. When they asked Iceman, he goes, have you ever thought about not being a mutant or something like that? That metaphor. And then they give him the powers, and that kind of undermined what I thought they were trying to do with the first third.
Yeah.
But in general, though, it is a very fun movie, and lots of respect for anybody who showed up in this and gave it their all. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact they cast really good character actors, really reliable character actors who were there like, oh, I have a shot at a studio film. I'm not going to whiff this. I mean, of course we have Kurt Russell. He's the big name in this because he's already the established star, and he doesn't phone this in at all. He looks like he's having the time of his fucking life making this movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was taking a drink.
No, it's okay. That's partly like like they're really enjoying it's almost schmaltzy at times with him, but it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, the relationship, the chemistry that he has with Kelly Preston is phenomenal, and I almost felt like they had to have worked together before in something else. I looked, nope, I couldn't find anything. It's just like, I guess.
But you never know. You know, they might have been friends in real life or something.
That's true.
You just don't know.
Yeah, because there's just such a comfort between the two of them that I really enjoyed.
Plus, I mean, obviously, there's no way I could really know this, but my gut tells me that Kelly Preston was a truly lovely person.
Yes.
Something makes me really believe that.
I'm not going to go into some diatribe about Scientology right now. No, it's besides who she was as an actress, what she brought to the screen. I don't know what she was like in real life, but she clearly loved what she did, and I don't think I ever saw a bad performance, even during the '80s when her career was starting to dip down. You know,
yeah.
I mean, you know, in the beginning she was doing a lot of like exploitation films and lots of nudity and stuff like that. But at no point did she seem like she was ashamed of it. She was just like, "This is what it is. I want to be an actress, and you know, it is what it is." Like the way Jamie Lee Curtis treated a lot of her roles. She never looked down on the grindhouse movie, you know, horror stuff that she did or the nudity that she did. And I respect actresses like that. Yeah, I think she gave a hell of a performance in this. And I think, what was it? Jerry Maguire was kind of like her big return to, you know, like seeing her on the big screen or whatever in studio films. And it seemed like she just kept building from there.
I don't think that she was in Jerry Maguire.
She's in the very beginning. She's the one that Tom Cruise is having sex with.
Oh.
Yeah, because I think she had been off the screen for a really long time.
Okay.
After she got.
I don't remember, so she must not have been a small part. Okay.
But let's talk about the younger cast, because this is what we're here for. What is Michael Angaro? What is he from? Or Angarano? I don't know how to say his name. What was he in before this? Because I feel like this is his big breakthrough.
I feel like I've always known him, though. Like, even younger than this.
Oh, Almost Famous. He's the younger version of William.
That's right. That's why. He's the younger William, yeah. I'm a big fan of his. You know, I think that he is definitely more of a character actor. But it's so nice to just to continue to see him like evolve, and like he's still acting now, and you know, being on really good TV shows that I like, and he's done a lot of stuff over his career that he should be super proud of.
Yeah.
Even if they're things that, you know, people maybe that aren't super, super popular, like, for example, the Brass Teapot. I don't know, some other things that I really enjoy that he's been involved in. Have you seen the Brass Teapot?
No, I've heard of it, but is that the one that he wrote and directed?
I'm not sure if he directed it.
I know that he was on the Leonard Maltin podcast that he has with his daughter, and he was a guest on there, and he talked about, you know, he got his taste of the big studio films, but he felt like a lot of it, well, the one that he did with Jackie Chan and Jet Li felt kind of impersonal because there's so much special effects and stunts. Now, he was more interested in smaller scale human stories. You know, and so he decided when he got to a certain age that he was going to start, you know, developing projects and writing and directing and producing. And I deeply respect that.
Oh, absolutely. If you can in any way kind of take control of your career and what stories you want to tell, I think that's incredibly respectable. That's like the most respectable thing to do.
Yeah. And all the young actors in this, it seems like it had the highest quotient. Quote? I don't know what fucking words mean. Let's just say highest percentage, of young actors that went on to successful careers as adults. I mean,
absolutely.
Danielle Panabaker, is she still on The Flash? The Flash is still on, right? I feel like it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in years. It's too stressful.
It felt like they were kind of doing the same story over and over. Oh, another Flashpoint. Great.
well, it's just the thing is like first it started Arrow and then Flash, and then it got to the point where there was like 5 shows in the universe, and you were like, it was just so much of a commitment to try to keep up with all these connecting stories.
Right, yeah.
It felt like a chore, and I had to stop.
Yep.
So, but yes, do I have a deep, like, I do really appreciate her. You know, she had a lot of like, you know, Disney stuff in her early days to kind of build up her credibility and stuff like that. But yeah, she's done a lot of stuff, and yeah, it's interesting that probably the two of the bigger things of her career were playing superheroes.
Yeah, and she did a lot of horror movies too. And I know she did the Friday the 13th remake and maybe one of the Prime movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Speaking of horror and superheroes, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. This is the first time I had ever seen her, and then after this, she just seemed like she was everywhere and like really good performances. Because I think right after this is when she did Final Destination 3, which I think is the best one, the one on the roller coaster. I know she's in Death Proof, and it seemed like she went more independent stuff for a while. But I thought she was fucking amazing as the Huntress in Birds of Prey.
I mean, she's just generally like I think she's a really good actress and always has been. You know, I'm a huge fan of Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
and she was McClane's daughter. I forgot.
I don't know if this... What?
Live Free or Die Hard. She's John McClane's daughter.
Right. Now, I don't necessarily think she's the best part of Scott Pilgrim, but she did a lot of interesting stuff. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. She's really done a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, I think she has excellent taste in what, it's a fun taste in what she's choosing to do. Not all of it works. I've never seen that Abraham Lincoln movie, but, I think she has excellent taste.
I mean, generally, I think it's stupid, but I understand why she would have been interested in doing it.
Well, we all thought it was cool. We first heard about it. Then we were like, this is wild. And then we saw the trailers like, I don't know about this now.
Also, she has good taste in men because now she's married to Ewan McGregor, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I would marry Ewan McGregor too. Hey.
I would, yeah. All of us think he's pretty dreamy. Anyway.
Stephen Strait, who I think broke out first of all the people in this, because wasn't it right after this is when he got the Covenant and
Yeah,
BC?
So.
Was that 3000 BC or something?
Yeah. I think that all that stuff was kind of around the same time. I think he's really I really like that Magic City too. It was kind of a short-lived TV show on Starz with Jeffrey. What's his name? Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yes, right.
I don't know if you ever saw it, but I liked it.
It looked cool. I would say the relationship that all these characters have together too it works so well. I love that Stephen Strait is supposed to be the bad guy.
Yes.
And that he's so frustrated because he can't get what he wants. He can't be the bad guy because no one will let him.
Yeah, when they all sit down with him, he's just like, "What are you guys not understanding about our dynamic here?" And they just go like, "No, we're just gonna change it." And the thing is yeah, he tries to be the villain, but it's sort of good because this movie really flips the script and it's not. It's more complicated than that,
Yeah. Well, it's always a cliche.
Relationships are more complicated.
Yeah, it's always a cliche in the comic books that whenever two heroes meet or whatever, they have some arbitrary, stupid fight. It's usually miscommunication or some sort of misunderstanding or whatever. And this kind of spoofs that, but it's just like, your dad fought my dad, so apparently we have to fight too. Why? I don't understand. He's like, we just have to.
Yeah.
The one that I was truly shocked when I saw this was Nicholas Braun, who, this is 2005.
Oh, crap! He's the one with the spiky blonde hair?
Yeah! Wait, I think he was playing a high school student 8 or 9 years later in Freaks of Nature.
Dude, I kept thinking, he looks familiar. I wonder why. And then I just kind of forgot. That makes so much more sense.
I love the fact that the writer and director did a really good job of... They're never really... I don't want to say the butt of a joke, they have powers. They want to be heroes, and it's other people who treat them like they're,
Yeah.
I mean, if you put them in a comic book, they really would not be, any sort of real team. But they found a way to use their powers effectively, to save the day, and they worked as a team. And I just love the fact that who said, was it Kurt Russell that says you're not sidekicks, you're all heroes, or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah. I love that.
I think it's really about perspective, though. It's like, Bruce Campbell, by the way, he looks so good in that movie. I was like, dang, this really was a long time ago, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That he just, just disregarded people so quickly, and was just like, that is kind of, this is kind of a metaphor for reality, like,
yeah.
Different aspects, using superpowers in the place of, like you were saying, normal everyday things, like, I don't know, being a homosexual or being a person of a different color, like,
or having,
quickly they can be disregarded.
It can literally be something as simple as just not having a talent for something that your parents are good at, or that they want you to be good at, like baseball, and shoving it up your ass and being mad when you don't want.
Or it's like, how men in sports and women in beauty pageants and shit like that.
Yeah,
what the fuck is that?
Why are they? Well, no 4-year-old should be dressed up in a tiara and a dress and makeup. What the fuck? And unless it's for a goofy, fun time, not for a contest.
Yeah. I think this, it's a very good example of just, the importance that people can. Everybody has something to contribute, and you shouldn't disregard people so quickly.
Yeah.
Don't be dicks, yo.
And Bruce Campbell's character Boomer, and Kurt Russell drops a hint that he used to be big shit in high school but failed as an adult. That's why he's a coach now, and that's why he kind of lashes out and treats the kids like shit, because he can never make it in the big leagues as a superhero.
Yeah, and who's the most committed person in this entire story?
Kevin Heffernan!
Yes, that's what I was going to say. The bus driver who is so devoted to the school and the kids and the whole way of life, and he's the only person they allow near them who doesn't have powers.
Did they explain? Did I miss?
Something to contribute.
How did he get up? How did he even link up with them? How did he get that job?
I don't know exactly, but it said that he was a child of two heroes that didn't get powers.
Oh,
that's all. I think that's all they said about him.
I think his performance is absolutely phenomenal. I've been watching that show, Tacoma
FD.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that show so
much. I feel like we've been robbed of a lot of Broken Lizard movies. I feel like there should be 5 more, and they're so sporadic.
Yeah, but sometimes they're just. Some of them are not great.
I like all of them. I'm dead serious. I love Club Dread. I love Beer Fest, and I love Slam and Salmon. Slam and Salmon, the one that was their last theatrical, barely theatrical, is maybe their best.
I might have to revisit them all to be able to weigh in on that.
Yeah.
But I do very much like him, and okay, guys. You 3 people who are listening, because I'm sure we've lost a person by now, go watch Tacoma FD. It's a really nice, delightful ridiculousness in the difficulties of our world today. The end.
The director of this, I believe, is the director of either The Hot Chick or The Animal. I can't remember. And he knows his comedy. He has his comedy chops for choosing people who work really well together. The funny thing is, Dave Foley and Kevin McDonald are in this, and I don't recall if they ever worked together. Did they even have a scene together?
I don't think so.
I fucking love Kevin McDonald when he does his... There's a very particular thing that he would do on Kids in the Hall, and he does it in Invader Zim, and this is kind of like the obnoxious, overly confident, slightly lunatic gentleman.
Yes.
It was Deuce Bigelow is what he directed. Deuce Bigelow.
Also, I think this was the first time I didn't realize it that I had Jim Rash. I don't think I really knew who Jim Rash was until Community. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, see, I get Jim Rash. Okay, and there's a guy. You've seen Eurotrip, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the scene with the mime?
No, I haven't seen it in a really long time.
We're going to do Euro Trip and Road Trip sometime soon, but there's a guy in there, I can't remember his name, but they look so similar that I get the two of them confused. I didn't realize that Jim Rash. I fucking love Jim Rash, and this is that demented jester. He kills me.
I mean, he's quite funny.
If I come back for Halloween to see you, I want you to play Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, and I want to play that character. I want to play that crazy little jester.
That sounds great. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. His name is J.P. Mannix.
Yes.
Yes, I often get them mixed up. At least before.
Well, they both rose at the same time, and yeah, they were both kind of character actors who bounced around. It wasn't until like Community, and then of course Jim Rash got all the attention from the way back, and Descendants, I think, is what he wrote. Yeah.
Yes.
So he kind of like it moved up. If there was a race between the two of them, he kind of moved into the lead with that.
Well, yeah, he changed the narrative. He made himself more bankable. He's not just an actor anymore. He's a more creative person than that.
Huh? This is from.
Those are some good movies.
Yeah. I didn't realize this is. I mean, I don't know the show very well, but this is from the creators of Kim Possible, who wrote this while doing the show at the same time. Is that a good show?
Is it a good show?
Have you seen it?
I mean, I don't know. It's okay.
Oh, okay, because I saw that there was a new live-action version of it on Disney Plus, and it kind of grabbed my attention.
Oh, I don't think that was something that I ever really was too interested. I might have seen a couple episodes, but it was a cartoon, so.
Okay. Oh, I just know that girl from Even Stevens.
Does that make it more appealing or less?
I don't know. And I mentioned this takes some of the template of a John Hughes movie from the 80s, and it really hammers it home when you listen to the soundtrack, which is all like remakes of 80s songs.
Yes, that's super enjoyable, yes.
I think that this is one of the more superior. This is before Disney went apeshit with buying other people's properties, and I'm kind of surprised that Sky High didn't continue in some way. As an animated series or a live-action series.
Yeah, it actually says in the facts that they had to, their contract made them, obligated to a sequel or a series if it came to that.
Okay.
I mean, I would have enjoyed seeing this as a series.
Yeah. I mean, it made money. It didn't make a ton of money. But, I mean, we've seen now that Disney is just bringing everything back. We got a Hocus Pocus 2 when the first one didn't make very much money. I saw something else they were reviving. Oh, here, I'm confused why Disenchanted is going straight to Disney Plus when the first one made like $300 million worldwide. That's a lot of money for a little,
Why did Hocus Pocus 2 go straight to Disney Plus? The sheer nostalgia of the that's built up over time would ensure that people would have spent lots of money.
Yeah, I think them buying the properties they bought was the worst fucking thing that could have happened to Disney, because now they're so reliant on those. And people are clearly getting burnt out. They've thrown away Pixar. They threw away all their original properties. They shut down Pirates of the Caribbean, the overhaul, I guess you want to call it, the reboot with, she played Harley Quinn. What's her name? I can't remember.
Her, yep.
But it's just like now they're like, well, it's all Marvel. I was like, guys, you are running out of Marvel stuff, okay? I mean, you're really starting to get to the bottom of the barrel because you're running out of new characters.
They're getting to Team C here, baby.
Yeah, the Star Wars thing is almost all TV now. They don't care about the Muppets. What the fuck are they doing? I mean,
the Haunted Mansion Muppets was the bomb-ass movie of my life.
I just feel like they're so focused on stuff that already existed instead of creating their own properties that they could build up on. And Sky High seems like an obvious for a franchise of some sort.
I think that would be a really good show. Or at this point, dudes, they could have a sequel.
A high school reunion
with the kids
movie.
Now. Oh yeah, I mean, they're probably mid-30s now.
Yeah, call it Sky High Reunion.
That'd be dope. I love reunion movies. We know we love reunion movies.
So this is definitely the superior of any of the Well, I guess there was only this and Zoom, but I feel like there was another one at the time where
I feel like Zoom. Did this come out like within the same year?
almost it was. I think it was literally a year apart, August of 2005 and August of 2006.
But Zoom was not a Disney movie, right? Because that
No,
was dumb.
it was Sony. It was Revolution Pictures did it for Sony, and they spent twice as much on that as they did with this, and it looks like shit.
They should have spent more money on casting.
Yeah, or a better script, honestly. But
I didn't actually get around to watching it again.
No, it's fine. I will say this. Yeah.
I remember very much preferring Sky High to Zoom.
Yeah, the only thing they got right was the fact that Tim Allen plays a hero who failed horribly. And
Tim Allen is just so smug. It's hard to
that's
enjoy
what
him
ruins
in
the
very many
movie,
things.
is if they had cast somebody I would have loved. I know he wasn't old enough. God, I'm trying to think of somebody who was at that time like 50 years old that would have pulled it off with some empathy, and I can't think of it right now. But the other movie we want to discuss is New Mutants, and this is a movie that was, I think, ready to go in theaters fall of 2018. And
yes, that's when it was supposed to be released. And as far as I understand, it was the Disney acquisition that stalled it for 2 years.
Well, they did a lot of reshoots too, because if I remember correctly, the first showing of it went well with the test audiences, but it didn't test well with like the Fox executives. Like, here's the thing: is executives, you really shouldn't be overriding what the audience thinks. If the audience likes it, you should probably.
Not at all.
And they're like, well, it's too dark. We can't sell this to kids. You know, it's basically an R. I think it may have actually been R-rated in the first edit, and that's stuff you can fix.
I mean, he wanted it to be a horror movie, right?
Yeah. He always planned for it's a low budget movie. It was like $35 million. It was always intended to be a darker horror film, and then they took it and they did reshoots, and then those reshoots tested horribly with audiences. And then the studio was like, well, let's just put this on the back shelf and try to figure out what the fuck to do. And I think the version that we see, is the original version. So they spent so much more money reshooting it and reshooting and test audiences and then pushing. Then COVID hit, so that pushed it back again. And then when it came out, it was like, we're still in the heart of COVID. You know, I mean, no one's got the vaccines yet, and they're just like, well, fuck this, just put it out or whatever, maybe make a little bit of money. And I think it was like, oh my God, a movie opened at $9 million! It's a miracle! Which is so weird to hear now.
I think it's just so. I mean, it says that the original version was like 2 hours or over 2 hours, and the version that got released is an hour and 34 minutes. So there's like 25 minutes that exist somewhere that we may never see, and it's like you can feel that it is kind of choppy,
compressed.
Although I do believe that the guy did the best he could under so many circumstances that fucked this up. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm saying that it feels you can feel that there are things missing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Fox was fucking up all their franchises by this point. I almost wonder if they were doing it on purpose, because look, they fucked up. Huh?
I said maybe they were pulling a what's that Mel Brooks movie?
Producers? I was thinking they're pulling...
They're pulling a Producers?
Yeah, I mean, they fucked up the Die Hard franchise, and that was the first sign, like, that's weird. Why would you screw that up so bad? That's like your, meat and potatoes franchise right there.
Like, how do you even fuck up Die Hard, dude?
Yeah, they fucked up Kingsman, they fucked up X-Men, because, we're going to do Dark Phoenix again and get it right. What? It's like they just, seemed like they were just screwing up everything. The only thing they didn't manage to screw up, I think, was Planet of the Apes, thank God. But it's just one of these movies where I think it was like the way Waterworld was, where the bad press and all the word of mouth beforehand, before anybody even saw a second of the movie, it already doomed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And why would you go about trying to fuck shit up? Like, I just don't understand. Like, they almost, it feels like they were pulling up Producers and they were trying to tank it.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're like, well, let's get this studio sold because they don't want to look at this crap anymore. Like, what was his name? The guy who owns Fox? I can't remember. Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch was like, we're losing so much money. We got nothing left or whatever. And Disney's like, I smell blood in the water.
How truly twisted, but I wouldn't be surprised even a little bit. I think what really disappoints me is like, truthfully, all these actors are really quality.
Yeah.
They got fucked over.
Yeah, and I think I can give a little bit of credit to the criticism of the accents because they are.
Yes.
They're a little
I
big.
mean, that southern accent is really hard. Actually, all of the accents, you're right, are a little much.
Yeah. But I'll give them credit for actually going for it. And it's, if you read the original comic, which I think you're way too young to read the original ones.
Yeah, no, I've never.
The way that Chris Claremont wrote them, they did have big swing for the fences kind of accents. And this is, I read it sporadically, and I had not read it at the time of the Demon Bear saga. I was too young for that. But I went back and read it, and it's pretty spot on. I will say this, the comic book art, while very, very stylistic, it's very hard to understand what the fuck is happening. So I think the movie did a good job of respecting what they did, but also making it more tangible, I think, visually.
Yeah.
This is the original team. I think the only person missing was Karma, who basically just read emotions, if I remember correctly. Everybody else is the original team. At the point that I started reading it, almost everybody was gone. All they had was, I thought her name was Magic until I saw the movie. I had no idea that was just a different spelling for magic. The Ann Taylor-Joy character.
Oh, sure, okay.
She is Colossus.
Anya, I think her name's Anya.
Oh, okay. She is Colossus's sister. That's a hard thing to say.
Why don't they ever say anything about it?
I don't know. She's the only one that's related, if I remember correctly, to anybody who's already an X-Men. This movie almost acts like it's not even aware that the X-Men exist. I'm not 100% certain. Is that Xavier's school?
No.
Okay. Because I was just wondering if they were trying to, like, oh, this used to be the Xavier Academy or whatever, and we've moved on from this
I
point.
don't think so, but if they were trying to imply that, I missed it. But I mean, they do know that the X-Men exist, but they mention it at one point where they say they're not preparing us to become X-Men. They're creating us. Want us to become villains or whatever.
Huh? I missed that part. I apologize.
But otherwise, I mean, I think that may have been the only direct comment about the X-Men that I remember, but I could have missed something else. I mean, the interesting thing is that this is a strange combination of, X-Men, obviously, but a horror movie and very much like teen dramedies. I mean, there's very much a Breakfast Club element.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So much.
The funny thing is, the X-Men comics, a lot of it during the 70s and 80s when Chris Claremont was writing it, had a strong horror element, and they barely even touch upon that in the movies, which is always kind of a bummer, because they go for the big spectacle, almost generic, black and white versus, evil versus good or whatever, where there's more nuance in the comics, and I kind of miss that. Whereas this one actually really dips into it, because a lot of them are really just frustrated and they don't know what to do with their powers, and they kind of lash out at each other in different ways.
So I have a question about the Ileana character. And maybe there isn't an answer. Okay, so if she is, in fact, the sister of Colossus, and Colossus is Russian, and she is Russian, right?
Correct.
They're Russian?
Yes.
Why is there a point where she gets vulnerable and starts telling the truth about things? Her accent's gone. Is that an accident?
Oh.
Or I felt like that was an intentional thing, that I thought that they were implying that this tough Russian bitch character was a character she created so that she could be stronger.
Yeah, that's a really interesting.
It does. Scene where she's like confessing all this stuff to Danny and is drawing the picture, and then she's no longer has an accent.
I didn't realize that at all. But
I think you need to watch it again.
yeah, I think I do. Also the thing about Lockheed is why is he a puppet that she talks to for so long? But then he's real. And then like, well, wait, was this? I thought she was doing this as some sort of coping mechanism. But then so it does seem like it's a little uncertain. Also, Lockheed was never hers. Lockheed was Shadowcat, Kitty Pryde's character. That was her pet.
I did read that too. There's a lot of. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I don't hate this movie, but I don't understand a lot of it. I don't understand, and I'm just wondering if it's because of the 25 plus minutes that were cut out of the original version. There's a lot of things that I want answers to.
Yeah. Also, Cecilia Reyes, she was an X-Men and she was not a bad guy. So that's an interesting thing that they did with the character, which I did not expect. And what the fuck is with casting Adam Beach in superhero movies and killing him off immediately? It's the second time now.
I don't know. I love Adam Beach so much. He deserves so much more respect in Hollywood. He's such a good actor. Stop fucking with Adam Beach. I know, he has 2 scenes. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think it's a very stylistic, very interesting movie. A complete breath of fresh air from the other X-Men movies. And I kind of wish that this and Logan are the only ones that are kind of more personal. Like, they pull back some on the spectacle and really focus on the characters. I do think, though, the Demon Bear thing is really fascinating because it's all... Now, you figured out pretty fast that was her conjuring it from her mind, right?
I figured the story is clearly very personal, and I figured it had to have some relation to her after a little bit because of the story, the necklace. She starts the narration with it, and then the story she tells about her dad and all this stuff. I figured that it must be her, but is she in control of fear? I don't quite understand how her bear had anything to do with all the other kids' stuff.
Well, it's like I never knew her in the comic book character. By the point that I was reading the Mutants, that she was out of it. But it's something about she can conjure up images and make them tangible. But in this, that she's so young, she doesn't understand her powers, so she can't control them. They just come when she goes into REM nightmares.
So is she conjuring different visuals of fear? Is it really about fear?
I believe so. Yeah, because
it's not just the bear.
Right.
It's not like the bear is her alternate alter ego or something. It's the concept of fear,
right.
And that one is her fear. See, it's complicated. That's why this movie didn't do so well, because there's too many questions that don't get answered.
Can she control happy images too? Can she make tangible lollipops, or sunflowers?
She said she starts the story and then with her narration, and then she ends the story with a narration saying, her father told her this story about the bear and how there's 2 entities, and one is fear and one is all the bad things, fear, all this stuff, and then the other one's the positive things, and she says, which one wins? And he says, whichever one you feed.
I really do need to watch this movie again and put my fucking phone down. I watched the movie last night and put my phone down for the entire movie. How did I do this? I got to do this more often. I think it's a curse of our constant information culture and my ADD that needs constant flow.
As I'm watching things, I like to look up things about the actors and different things while it's happening. But I think that I just need to stop doing that because it is very distracting.
Yeah.
So even though this movie to me is missing a lot of things that I would like the answers to, or would think it would make the story a little bit more enjoyable, because I felt like there was a lot of things I didn't understand. I do still think that it's very good. Obviously these are very different takes on the same kind of concept at its base. But the thing that's very, very different about the two, I mean, I think, is the fact that, in Sky High, they have very active, very aware, very present adults in their lives.
A support system, too.
Yeah, I mean, not all of the adults are great, but they're very present and make a huge difference, positively or negatively, to their experience and figuring out who they are in the world. And in this, they have no support. That doctor isn't telling them shit.
No.
The only support system they have is veiled in secret.
I'm a little
lies.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked that they would just leave it to one person. Who is her boss?
Yeah.
Well,
she talks to her boss in code on the computer. It's supposed to be like Mr. Sinister or something.
Oh, okay.
They reference just loosely something called Essex.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I can't say that word very well. Essex Corp or something, and supposedly in the comic books, it's like the alter ego, the human version of Mr. Sinister is like the owner of this Essex Corp. I don't know. I only know that from reading like some of the info in the trivia,
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't have known that otherwise, but that's supposedly what it is. Is that she's like an employee of a corporation. She's not, she might actually be a doctor, but her intentions are not good and they're not her own. She's acting on the will of others.
Yeah.
Entirely.
I wish this had been successful and they could have righted the ship a little bit, because if they were going to follow the comics at all, after this, when Professor X dies, he's died a couple times in the comics, but in the movies he's also died, is Magneto tries to make it up to him and honor his legacy by taking the kids that were in the Academy, the New Mutants, and become their leader, and he becomes a force for good and really changes.
Well, hot damn, wouldn't that be a cool story?
That would have been. And then it went to shit, though, because in the early 90s, Marvel decided everything needed to be more extreme. So they gave it over to Cable and, the Josh Brolin character, and then he turns into a military, elite fighting force. And I was like, oh, you've destroyed. And they're like, well, we can't call it New Mutants anymore. Let's call it X-Force. So all I know about the characters now is that Cannonball and Sunspot graduated to be Avengers, which was a lot. I really like Cannonball and Sunspot. They're my favorite characters of the bunch.
They're interesting. I just very much wish that they had. I feel like they just did this movie so dirty, and I would have really, really appreciated and seeing what else he envisioned for this trilogy.
Yeah, I hope his career isn't done. I wonder what he's up to, because I think at one time
he's up to nothing, dude. He's up to nothing. I think he directed a couple episodes of the Stand miniseries for Paramount Plus, and I think that he probably got that job before anybody ever saw this movie, and he has done nothing since. I think they fucked his career, and it's not really his fault.
Yeah, I could have sworn that he was attached to one of the Star Wars movies, but it doesn't
look like it. No, I don't think so.
The Fault in Our Stars. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
We might do that for one of the episodes, because that is a teen movie.
We should do a couple. Maybe we could do a couple that are teen movies based on books.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
Bum, bum, bum. I can't remember what we said we were going to do next, so I'm not going to say it on there unless you remember.
We discussed it, but it slipped my mind at the moment.
Also, I think the best part of not saying ahead of time is you don't end up in moments explaining, hey, I know we said Sky High and Zoom last time, but Zoom sucked.
Yeah, we still do that, though, anyway.
Yeah, we're fools. All right.
It's good sometimes for us. I mean, it's okay if we talk about movies that we don't like. It's okay to be like, oh, you know what? This doesn't hold up. 20 years ago this was enjoyable. It's not so much now. That's okay too.
Yeah,
it's okay to watch something. So I'm glad that we changed the movie, but sometimes we're gonna watch some shit. Whatever.
I think our bottom was I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that.
All right, everybody, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, I guess, if you're liking toxic waste dumps.
Don't do that. Don't do it, guys.
Yeah. It's your social media, it's our podcast host. I'm going to shut the fuck up. You know the show by now. If you're listening to the show, you listen. You know where to find us. You found us right now. All right, bye.